So this week we're going to be talking about 4 ways that your brain plays tricks on you. You've heard me talk about how we have 50 to 80,000 thoughts per day. And out of all of these thoughts, here's what the brain does with all that information. So your brain can process 2.3 million pieces of information every second. And all this information doesn't get stored, not all of it anyway. The brain has different function of what it does with all this information. And one of them is creating some thoughts, the 50 to 80,000 thoughts per day. Now, here are a few of the brain functions. The first one, your brain actually deletes stuff, right? So many of the thoughts that we get enter one ear and out the other, right? Some information your brain doesn't bother storing in your important files. And hopefully that doesn't include your wedding anniversary, gentlemen. So we delete stuff. Like, where did you leave your keys? What's your password again? Or people's name 1 minute after you've been introduced. Or what day it is, or where are your glasses, or where's your phone, right? How many times have you lost your phone? So the second function that the brain uses is it retains information. Now, for those thoughts that are judged important somehow, and maybe they're not, but we remember them anyway. This is weird. Like sometimes you remember stuff and you're like, why do I remember this? Like, I know the phone number of the grocery store in the town where I grew up. I still remember it. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, why do I still remember the phone number of the grocery store from a small town where I have moved out like 25 years ago? But some of that information is stored away forever. So weird. Now, like, how many times have you, for example, arrived in the kitchen and then you ask yourself, why were you there? So you've deleted that information, but yet you can remember every word from a 1981 song. Let's test this, okay? What if I sing this little piece? Just a small town girl. What are you gonna say? You said it already in your head, right? Living in a lonely world. Yeah, we store information, and it's not like this song is really important to know the lyrics, but we know that. I don't know why I know this. And there are some information that we retain. So very often we need to be specific. When you want to remember something, just say, I will remember this. Personal assistant, please remember this. I will make a specific effort to remember this when there's something that's really important that you do want to remember. Now, the brain can also play tricks on you by generalizing. Another aspect of your inner talk, of this information that we need to be aware of, is that your personal assistant tends to generalize about the world. It likes to simplify things by putting things into neat little boxes, okay? Here's a few examples of generalization. Something happens once, or it's one thing, and then all of a sudden you generalize, like, all blondes are stupid. I guess only you can say that, right? It's a generalization. I do not agree with that. Or women are stronger than men, right? So ladies, back me up here. In your head, you can say, oh yeah. Well, how about all teenage employees are unreliable, right? A lot of times we hear that, and the new generation is useless. Not everybody. Or somehow when something happens once or twice, then you assume that it will always be like that. And then we include everybody. How many women that had their heart broken once that said, all men are so bad? Not all of them. My husband's pretty good, and not all of them. But we generalize, we compartment into little boxes. So what we need to understand is that generalizing can get us into trouble because it causes us to make assumptions that are not necessarily true. And these assumptions can usually hurt our confidence. And then the last one is that our personal assistant also like to distort and exaggerate and catastrophize things. Last week in my blog, I was telling you a story where I was totally catastrophizing, and the title of the blog is The Day We Almost Got Killed. Well, I invite you to go check it out. So that's a really good example of this. We distort. And then when we do, it's all or nothing, right? You have a headache and then you're like, oh, I wonder, maybe I have a brain tumor. Maybe I should Google it. And there it is. You think you have like 1 month left to live. Really? Or what about the teenage brain? Sometimes we call that. There's a small thing that happens and then my whole life is ruined, right? So bizarre. So bizarre. So these are 4 ways that your brain can actually play tricks on you. So be aware of that. And then I will give you next week 3 questions that you can ask yourself when you start distorting, when you start catastrophizing, and when you start getting so pumped up or excited about an event that's going on. So I will give you 3 questions to keep you from freaking out.